Okay. Yeah. This one is working. You can hear me? That's good. Welcome so much to this parallel session between Ocean and Coast and Civil Security/Resilience, two of the strategic areas at NTNU. My name is Bjørn Egil Osmenslet, and I'm director of the strategic area Ocean and Coast. And with me I have
Nils Kalstad, and I'm the Director of Civil Security in NTNU. Yes?
Yes, and together we will take you through securing Europe's blue future, leveraging data for a secure and resilient blue Europe. Let me go back to NTNU's vision, knowledge for a better world. But what does that mean today? We are in a situation with a climate crisis, a nature crisis, and we have a tense geopolitical situation. Is there a common denominator or something that is really important in this? Then we can look to oceans and water and the whole water cycle. And we are also very pleased that the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, through their EIT Water and the knowledge and innovation community in water, marine and maritime sectors and ecosystem, take the same approach, the full water cycle. Linking ocean, coast and water with resilience and civil security is then more important than ever. And the basis for this is insight and oversight. And the basis for that again is data. Nils?
Yeah, so to put it to the point, so trust but verify was the famous quote that Ronald Reagan picked up from the Russians. And we are going through this session to take you through a bit of insight and discussions around how we can do observations from seabed to space, and by that get a better overview on the activities that happens on our coasts and the sea. More and more relevant, as late as last night by the speech from Donald Trump in the UN. We have to see that most of our energy should come from the seaside and not from the land side. So there is food, there is climate, there is energy that the sea provides us with. And that's the background and motivation for us to put this into the program for this year's Brussels conference. So with that, we have to keep momentum going, so I'm happy to introduce Erik Selnes Sivertsen, project leader from the Department of Marine Technology, who will lead us through this session. So Erik, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that. My job here is to keep the schedule, keep the pace. Yeah, but we are at Brussels time, so there will be some delays. The VP today started by saying that one of the key things is bringing ideas or picking up on ideas, developing technology, but also using the technology into solutions. And I need to stress that even though NTNU is a technological university, we also understand that technology is only a part of the solutions. And in this world where things are changing faster than ever, we have a climate crisis which are pushing a lot of changes. We have a biodiversity crisis. We have a geopolitical situation that also is very unpredictable. It was a reference here to the president in the US speech yesterday. But also where the technology is developing faster than ever. How do we respond to that? And we will try to look into how to answer that. Since we are discussing technology, and we have a situation the last few days with a lot of drones, and we also saw the Ukrainians attacking Russian airports all over Russia earlier this year. But we brought with us some of the other robots in other domains, and you can have a look at this when you go out. But at NTNU we have 2 operating satellites, and this is a full-scale model of the first HypSO-1 satellite that we launched back in 2022. It's 10 by 20 by 30 centimeters, cost 1 million euros to get into space, delivering a lot of very interesting data. Now we have also a Hypso 2. This is a stack of A4 sheets, which is 10 centimeters high. Also, someone is knocking on the door, so this will... Yes, please, welcome. Thank you. And also, the point being that this costs 1 million euros now, where it costed billion euros before. So space is now available for all, not just the huge organizations. The other thing I brought with us is this sweet little robot, which is a Blue Eye. It's a remote operated vehicle. You can have this for 25,000 euros and upwards, depending on what kind of extra equipment you want. Do you want an arm with it? You could have that, or other sensors. But this was the first civilian platform that also was down on the Nord Stream 1 sabotage. Yeah. And then it brought with it this piece of pipeline from the sea bottom. So when the Swedish newspaper Expressen wanted pictures, they went to Trondheim and asked for this robot. Point being, again, this domain where you before needed to have a large ship with a lot of employees, a lot of divers going down, a huge operation. You went out with 2 men in a cabin cruiser, went down to 150 meters and picked up this. You could have done it the other way. You could have used 2 of these, placing a lot of explosive down on the ocean floor. This is the new world. Domains are now available for all at a very low cost. We try to elaborate on the plenary session with some of the speakers we have here today going into it. And we also have asked for concrete examples from both industry and academia. But we will start with Dege Mare, and I'm very glad to have with us Soy Konstantinov, which is a marine scientist with expertise in integrated coastal management and science policy society interface. So I think you are very spot on, and I leave the floor to you. You have a clicker here, you have a microphone here, or you could sit.
I will probably sit.
Yes, and then you have 10 minutes at your disposal. We're very glad you are here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting DG Mare to present what we plan to do on ocean observation in Europe. Recently, so I'm not going to repeat what you said and all of the things of the importance, but they're going to come up during my presentation. Recently, during the United Nations Oceans Conference in Nice this June, the President of the European Commission, with the opportunity of unveiling the European Digital Twin Ocean, which is an innovation advancement for marine and ocean management, announced also under the Ocean Pact, a European Ocean Observation Initiative. The main line behind this is to bring together the European marine knowledge. The European Commission, across different services, has been doing multiple things to invest in knowledge and to make knowledge available openly for all. The biggest example of this is the Copernicus program that has many different components. And regarding the oceans, the Copernicus Marine Service that is providing satellite data and that is providing state-of-the-art forecasting services. But there are multiple other aspects that are coming together into this marine knowledge value chain. So there are in situ data that are funded through ocean observation in the member states, through ocean observation from marine research infrastructures in Europe and in the world. There are international programs that Europe participates there are data infrastructures that, as the European Marine Observation and Data Network, EMOTNET, that is managed by Digimare. There is the European Digital Twin Ocean that is meant to bring all of this data and knowledge together in order to develop different kind of applications and in order to assess different kind of scenarios, to be able to provide knowledge input to policy, to research and innovation, to businesses, to society. The vision behind the European Digital Twin Ocean, that is not of this year, but it has been developing for some time, is that knowledge should be openly available. Not all knowledge, probably, but most knowledge. Most knowledge for the ocean is that is a commodity, a common commodity, and that we need to manage it as such in a common and integrated way, not only in Europe, but also with international partners that are of the same mentality as us. It's impossible to have a digital twin ocean component that is going to be reliable and open if we don't have a marine knowledge value chain that is supported appropriately in all the different steps. So we need good data, quality data, standardized and harmonized data, but mainly we need coordinated ocean observations across Europe. And also we need to be able to be autonomous regarding ocean observation, not only in Europe, but beyond. Europe is participating in the global ocean observing system, but is not as important in the global ocean observing system as other players. And currently, due to a number of geopolitical changes, this global ocean observing system is being under direct threat. Another direct threat is towards data management structures, international global data management structures of the marine environment that are also under threat. With this in mind, and taking into consideration the complexity of the landscape of ocean observation and data in Europe and in the world, and taking into consideration the different aspects of ocean observation and data management in Europe and the world, the European Commission came forward with an inter-service initiative for ocean observation. This initiative is covering services that are managed by different parts of the European Commission, so the maritime, from maritime affairs and fisheries, from research and innovation, from defense and satellite development, from environment, from international actions. Under the Ocean Observation Initiative, as announced in the Ocean Pact, we have 3 high-level objectives. The first high-level objective is the development of the European Ocean Observing System. By European Ocean Observing System, we mean all the observing capacities that we have in Europe, mainly directly in the marine environment, mainly speaking about the in situ capabilities that require a level of coordination between the member states. The member states of the European Union have responsibility for their observations and autonomy for their observations, but there is power in bringing these capabilities together and trying to coordinate them a little bit better than they are currently coordinated. So there are 3 subcomponents in the development of a European Ocean Observing System. The first, as I already mentioned, is trying to maintain European autonomy regarding what we need in ocean observation to support our services, trying to provide a global contribution into salvaging data infrastructures that are currently under threat, for instance, data that are in the Arctic, and they may be under threat. Another part is supporting the development of a system in Europe that is based in research, innovation, and new technologies. Currently, the observing technologies market is being dominated from players outside Europe. Besides the fact that the European Union invests a lot in research and innovations in ocean observation technologies. But these technologies are being harvested and then being sold back to to Europe, and this is something that we probably have to invest a little bit to change. So part of the Ocean Observation Initiative is to support this research and innovation. It's also to support the development of a European market for these observing technologies, hoping also that better coordination in the member states is going to increase the capacity for joint procurements in the member state and thus encouraging this kind of a market to develop and be sustainable. The last part of the developing of the European Ocean Observing System is the development of better governance between the member states. And this is something also that's going to be streamlined through the Ocean Act. There are two more high-level objectives in the Ocean Observation Initiative. As I said already, the one is the streamlining of the European marine knowledge value chain. We have a lot of infrastructures of data in Europe, open data. We have a lot of services that are state-of-the-art and they are providing capacities to the world. And we want to bring them together in order to optimize them, to bring better services forward. This is going to happen through better collaboration between Copernicus Marine, between EMOTNet, between WISE Marine, to make more data available. In the end of the day, to be able to deliver an operational digital twin ocean with services for all by 2030. And with this nice infographic that shows how European Digital Twin Ocean is going to bring together data, information, and modeling capacities for different kinds of uses for Europe and for the world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. So, I give a small gift. Thank you for coming. Then we move further. Bertrand Wolle is a policy officer at the European Commission's GSG for Research and Innovation. So I leave the floor for you for 10 minutes. Please help yourself.
I think I will also sit. I will present you today because we heard a lot about gigafactories. We want to generate data, but we still have issues with the way we are managing water. We see the effect of climate change on the resource, and there is a need to have a, let's say, coordinated action related to water management. And this is a bit what we wanted to address with the water resilience strategy that the European Commission proposed earlier this year in June. This strategy is key to obtain a vision in 2050 where we have an economy that is water resilient and where we can do what we want with the water we have. So we have the strategy defined 3 objectives. The first one is to restore and protect the water cycle. The second one is to develop a water smart economy, an EU water smart economy. And the third one is, because we have international commitment with the UN to accomplish the SDGs, we need to maintain the way we are dealing with drinking water and sanitation for all. And this is the third objective. And we identified enablers. I will come back to the enablers a bit later. But you see already digitalization, innovation, and security also. And if we manage to have this, the objective is also to spread the word in the world. So we will have global actions that will try to foster this approach also in the rest of the world. So the first objective is to protect and restore the water cycle. What we see in Europe is that we have a global water legislation, water acquis that are quite strong. However, we still have difficulties to accomplish the objective of the Water Framework Directive. And mainly because we, let's say, human activities has also different impact. And we need to make sure that the water is stored in the soil so we can use it and allow ecosystem to survive. So we will have actions related to the three components of the water cycle: the green water cycle, the blue water cycle, and the gray water cycle, gray being more the human parts that we are dealing with. So we will have action to facilitate the implementation of solutions that allow infiltration of water with the sponge facility. This approach also needs to consider, Zoe talked about the ocean, and we need to see this in coordination between freshwater and ocean. Obviously, the activities that we have may pollute water that at the end enter in the ocean, so we need to coordinate this. So there will be a revision of the Marine Framework Directive. We also have new sort of pollution, and one that is particularly sensitive, which is the perfluoroalkyl substances, so the PFAS, known as forever chemicals. We need to remove them. We need to stop producing them first, but they are essential use. We have part of REACH that is addressing this, but we need to develop solutions to remove them. So we will have initiatives that try to foster these activities. We still deal with nutrient pollution. So we have the Baltic Sea, that is a very nice environment for nutrients storage and accumulation, and it's not an exception in Europe. We're still struggling with nutrient pollution. So we have to help member states to visualize and implement solutions for this. And we also see the effect of climate change. So we have obviously scarcity issues. We need to address this. We need to monitor this. All of this need data. So it's important to use the tools and to deploy new tools for data gathering. And to have an economy that is working, we talked about AI, we talked about generation of data, we talked about gigafactory this morning. But to all this to perform, we need water, because we need cooling system, we need to produce energy. We need to get energy to move the water. So there is here a nexus that is very important. And to be able to share these resources, we need first to understand that this is not a infinite resource. It's finite, and we need to manage it as it is. So we published recommendation for the water efficiency first principle, so that we can deal with water hierarchy. So first, reduce the abstraction, then implement efficiency in the different sectors. Then, when possible, try to reuse the water that we already use. And then at the end only, find new source if this is not enough and if we didn't manage to implement this. There is lots of room for development of technologies, for monitoring. We need to reduce our leakage. We need to support water reuse. There is a legislation for reuse in agriculture, but there are other sectors that can reuse water. We need standards for minimum performance in terms of water use for data centers. And we need to find new ways in order to not using water just to dissipate heat. So we need to develop actions to find new ways of cooling systems, to develop dry cooling. And finally, we need to ensure the SDG 6. So we need to empower citizens. They need to understand better what is their relation to water. So again, there are data, but we need to manage this and to show citizens that they have the power to choose products that are less or more efficient in terms of water use. We need to exchange best practices on pricing, because pricing for water as a it needs to be the instrument to leverage the efficient use of water. And we want to look at water efficiency in the built environment, being buildings, blocks for offices or housing, but also in cities, so trying to facilitate recovery of water in every part, and then enhance the involvement of consumers. So I will just show three enablers that are more related to, I think, your center of interest, which is the digitalization, innovation, industry, and security. So for digitalization, we see the potential of digitalization. However, it's not very spread over across the water sector, so there is lots of room for improvement. We want to harvest all the data that are gathered by satellite, like this one. I don't know if this one is dealing with water, but we have plenty of satellites that. And we need to enhance the tools that are developed by Copernicus to help member states to use these data for managing their water. We need to reduce the administrative burden. We have a lot of reporting, and to ease the access of this data, these administrative issues need to be simplified. If we solve this, we think that there will be a lot of business opportunities to develop this industry. So we have different plans. We have an action plan on the digitalization of the water sector. So having funding to help member states or guidance to member states to find the funding to improve their digitalization. Some EU-wide initiative on smart water metering, so we gather more data. And we also try to disseminate the use of Copernicus products on water. We will have a research and innovation strategy. What we do with that is we already developed lots of solutions for the accomplishment of the three objectives of the water resilience strategy, but we need to identify the gaps and to help to develop tools to feed the new research based on this. We need new skills, so we will have the GRC working on the European Water Academy, and we already mentioned the KIC that will allow to develop the community. And the last one is to come back to security. We have also with water an issue related to different hands. So there is the cybersecurity of the infrastructure. We need to make sure that this infrastructure cannot be attacked. We have the security of the water for flooding, for instance. So we need to make sure that the water is not killing people. And then we will have actions to develop adaptation plan to allow member states to make sure that the water is not a weapon, but that is a tool for the development of our society. Thank you.
A small present also for you. And of course, this is the satellite you need, not because, yeah, because it will, it will be a fine complement to the EU's own huge programs, but this is a kind of innovation that will fill in the gaps. Let's move on to Reinhard Hawk, which come from DG Defis. We are very glad to have you here. You have a background as an officer, and you have then specialized in cyber and intelligence operations. So I leave the floor for you for 10 minutes. You have both a microphone and a clicker and an audience. Thank you.
So I'll sit like my colleague. I didn't prepare any slides, just give a keynote and we can discuss during the panel discussion. So it's an honor to represent DG DEFI at this event, important for Europe coastal, ocean security and civil security in general. The maritime domain is at the heart of our union prosperity and security. It enables global trade, sustain offshore energy, host critical digital infrastructure, and provide access to strategic mineral as well. Enhancing its security, safety, and resilience is a basis for EU strategic autonomy. But threats are evolving rapidly. You mentioned the Nord Stream attack or event, of course, but since then it's escalated much more. So in late 2024, we had the East Link interconnector between Estonia and Finland that failed. In early 25, multiple data cable that have been cut. In early this year still, we had the Russian vessel Yanta, once again mapping, monitoring our critical infrastructure in the North Sea. We could mention other events like the event of the Russian MV Ruby as well. European port and logistics chain face increasing cyber attacks, targeting both physical and digital flows. And we are evolving in more complex cyber attack at sea, including GPS and IAS spoofing, ransomware against vessels and port system, and surge generally of hostile cyber activity, especially in Baltic and North Sea region. Of course, the shadow fleet, so-called shadow fleets operating without proper transponder or under opaque ownership, are proliferating, undermining surveillance and sanction enforcement. A few hours ago, the Danish police just officialized named a tanker of the shadow fleet, the Barakai, as the main suspect for launching the drones that disturbed the Copenhagen airport. So there is a link there as well. And beyond Europe, recent subsea cable disruption in the Red Sea demonstrate how quickly global internet connectivity can be affected by damage to the undersea infrastructure. This example, only example, highlight the exposure of our seaborne trade, offshore energy, subsea cable, and port to hybrid threats. At the same time, we are entering a new phase of technological capabilities. Initiatives such as the digital twin of the ocean, DTO, and advanced operation system that has been discussed are generating unprecedented volume of data. Those ocean of data can power artificial intelligence, predictive modeling, and early warning system to better protect our seas and infrastructure. Still, the structural gap is evident. In aviation, if we compare, every commercial aircraft is continually tracked under air traffic control. In the maritime domain, surveillance is fragmented and often voluntary. There are many systems, but ships can still switch off AIS and mostly disappear from view. Having maritime domain awareness, a real maritime domain awareness at EU level based on a comprehensive RMP, recognized maritime picture, by sea basins, will close the gap and will ensure timely detection of evolving threats. Europe is a leader in maritime science and technology, but to remain a leading blue region, we must translate those innovations into deployable capabilities, reduce dependency, and sustain industrial sovereignty. And DGDF contributes through several key initiatives. First, of course, our well-known EDF, European Defence Fund, to which Norway is associated, that support cooperative research and defense projects. A lot of them are maritime linked and linked to the discussion of today. For example, FiberSense that use fiber optical cable for maritime situational awareness. QWIS, Avalon or Asterion that research underwater networking and communication solution. A lot that developed the drone solution like SWAT-ALL, Secure, Eagles, Pleiade, Small UAS, Pasitia or Vantage. Of course, mine countermeasure, also linked to the topic of today, with Miracle, E=MCM or ORSWEEP, and many more. This year, we still have 3 naval topics open for submission before the 16th of October on maritime domain, digital ship and naval combat cloud, advanced underwater network, and standoff anti-submarine warfare. All those projects directly address the challenge of R&D, and the challenge of seabed infrastructure security, port protection, and maritime situational awareness. Within EDF, we also have a special UDIS scheme, European Defense Innovation, that opens defense innovation to SMEs, startups, and non-traditional actors, making the link also with civilian society. Then, if we have EDF supporting R&D with UDIS, we also need other tools. And we have the newly tool SAFE for Security Action for Europe that will provide financial support from member states to accelerate urgent and large-scale defense procurement, with incentive for common purchases among Europe and high EU content. SAFE offers a tool to scale up maritime capabilities more rapidly. And tomorrow, hopefully, we have another program, still a proposed regulation, EDIP, European Defense Industry Program. It's not yet adopted, but once agreed, it will bridge the gap between the ending of short-term emergency measure that will be taken after the with ASAP and EDIRPA after the war in Ukraine, and to ensure the EU defense readiness of our capacity, but for notably a reinforcement of the supply chain, also affecting the maritime domain, and support joint procurement and interoperability. So you have all those instruments that not only generating knowledge, but also help to deploy the technology to our navies and civil society that much needs them. This makes Europe Blue research more cost-effective, interoperable, and operational relevant. Most maritime technology are inherently dual-use. Sensor monitor both ecosystem and infrastructure, like as you mentioned here. Autonomous vehicle can be deployed for mine clearance or environmental monitoring. And fiber optics, for example, can be used to detect anomalies, not only to carry data. Many projects are designed from the outset to serve both civilian and defense purposes, or to spin in from civil to the defense environment in our EDF programs. This approach enables Europe to exploit the advantage of dual-use technologies, dual-use innovation, while ensuring sovereignty and responsible use of disruptive technologies. This reflects also the broader consequence of rapid technology development. Both defense and civilian innovation are increasingly inseparable, and comprehensive defense thinking must ensure resilience across the whole society to ensure continuity of our digital communication, but also our critical infrastructure. Beyond the current threat that have been already addressed, vulnerability and solutions, new challenges are visible. The increasing military of the seabed, swarming technology, where a large number of low-cost drones, surface, underwater, and also aerial drones may overrun defense, but also civilian infrastructure. Integration of space and sea domain, of course. AI-enabled cyber attacks, again, maritime logistic or port operation, for example. On our growing competition for strategic seabed minerals that are much more needed for the green and digital transition. Let me conclude with three main messages. First, Europe maritime security is a strategic priority, of course, and the threats to cable, port, and ship are growing. We need to address them and this is essential to have a full union autonomy. Second, the European Commission and DG DEFI provide a concrete added value through multiple programs, and most notably EDF, UDIS, SAFE, and once adopted EDIP, to support from research and development up until the deployment of technology in the maritime domain. Comprehensive thinking, then, must be applied at sea in our port and maritime domain. With dual-use innovation and whole-of-society resilience, Europe can turn its ocean from a vulnerability into a strength. This also means that harnessing the ocean of data generated by initiatives such as the DTO, Digital Twin of Ocean, and advanced observation system, so that the artificial intelligence, predictive modeling, and early warning tools that are much needed serve both security and resilience at civilian and defense level. With all those initiatives, Europe and Norway, of course, can consolidate their position not only as knowledge region, but also as true blue powers. Secure, resilience, and sovereign. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A small token of our gratitude. Then we move forward to the industry, and hopefully with some good examples of how to adapt to this fast-changing world. Priti Pillai is the portfolio manager for automation and Internet of Things at Alfa Laval, the counters. Yes, please help yourself. We are looking forward to hear from you.
I will use the clicker, but how do I move on? Oh, yes, there it is. So, oh, Yes, now everybody can hear me. So again, I'm Preeti Pillai, and I'm the portfolio manager for automation, IoT, and data science products at Alfa Laval's Decanter business. About Alfa Laval. Our purpose in Alfa Laval is to pioneer positive impact and to lead the transition to a more sustainable future while accelerating success for our customers and our people. We serve the food and water, marine and energy industries. And a little about us, last year our order intake was over 6,500 million euros. We have 22,000 employees in over 100 countries, and we own over 4,200 patents. Alfa Laval was recently recognized as one of the top 50 sustainable companies in the Sustainability magazine. And in 2023 Feb, we were also approved by the Science Based Targets Initiative. Alfa Laval has committed to being carbon neutral by 2030 and to reach a science-based net zero target by 2050. So how are we going to achieve this? Through our technologies in heat transfer, separation, and fluid handling, we look to bring in efficiencies in production and deliver value in the areas of reuse of water, reduction of waste, energy efficiency, and creating a circular production. And I'm part of the Decanter product group. This is the Decanter machine. It is a centrifugal separator, and it rotates at a very high speed, over 3,000 rotations per minute. It is used in many applications in food, energy, and is a key component in the wastewater treatment line. It is a heavy equipment, and we have been experts in all aspects of this machine. And now, my goal in the company is to make this machine autonomous with intelligence. President von der Leyen has emphasized the importance of keeping and reinforcing European leadership in artificial intelligence. In the wastewater industry and in the water industry in general, we are facing an aging infrastructure and fragmented data. And we need data for intelligence and to remain competitive. My team in Alfa Laval has been working to transform traditionally mechanical processes into data-driven adaptive systems, laying the building blocks for a smart water infrastructure. And the first step has been to standardize and build platform capabilities, which will then enable us to harvest data for advanced analytics. And then this data can be fed into machine learning, and the machine can then autonomously optimize the decanter and predict machine condition, building resilience into production for our customers. At Alfa Laval, we are global and we are competitive globally. And we want to secure our technology leadership by delivering outstanding value for our customers. Our customers, they want the best process outcomes from our machines. They want reliability while an overall low cost, and they want to meet their own sustainability targets. Digital and proactive service is saving our customers and us hundreds of thousands of euros. And I will give you an example how shortly. So what are platforms and why are platforms important? Think Airbnb and think YouTube. Two-sided platforms connecting consumers with suppliers. From a business perspective, platforms enable scalability, stickiness, and business growth. They create value by network effects. The more users on a platform, the more value each user gets from the platform. So now if we apply this principle to platform usage and to data harvesting, platforms from a technical perspective are enabling integrations and data sharing. The more applications, transactions, and interactions on a platform, the more data generated through various sources. And this data can be collected, transformed, and processed into insights that can be fed into machine learning. And ultimately, we can use this machine learning to make our production smarter with automation. The results being optimized processes, reliable machines, sustainable industry, and overall resilient production. And over time, with more and more learning, this becomes more and more intelligent. So let's have a look at what we're doing in Alfa Laval and our platforms architecture. We have developed our platforms architecture in a scalable way that enables integrations and data sharing both within and with platform components, but also with external platforms. We have the decanter. The decanter has sensors on it, and with the data from the sensors, we pass this on to our automation platform. On our automation platform, we have multiple applications, what we call modules. These modules control the different parameters and functions of the decanter. And we have built these in a way that they can integrate with each other, but we can also individually enable and sell them to individual customers. We can also integrate our automation with the wider plant automation, and there can be two-way data sharing. Now, we want to do smart things. So we can scale and start to add advanced sensors, advanced modules. We're working on some advanced sensors right now that can detect the output of the decanter, and then that can be used to optimize the decanter process. Our condition alert technology diagnoses machine condition. And all of this data can be fed into our machine learning environment, where we will run and build algorithms for various use cases. This will also be the basis of our digital twin. And over time with learning, this will be able to autonomously optimize a machine and detect issues in the condition. We can also integrate this to our digital Internet of Things IoT platform. And here as well, the benefit of being a platform capabilities is that there is multiple applications and the customers can view trends and visualize data across to get wider context of their production, for monitoring, to understand what's going on, and they can make better decisions. An actual case of where we have been able to use data to make our customers' production resilient. So we have an industry-leading customer, and they have 2 decanters from us, which is critical for their production. Our condition alert technology detected an issue with the bearings of one of the machine components called the conveyor. It detected a steady yet exponential increase in vibrations and was able to proactively alert the customer. This meant that the customer could shut down their production in a planned way and avoid potentially 2 weeks of downtime. They were able to replace the conveyor with a spare part. We estimate that this could have saved the customer over €100,000 alone in downtime and losses in terms of value, but also costs in terms of damage to equipment. So to finish off, how can we secure our leadership in artificial intelligence and remain competitive? We need people. We need the right people, skills in data science, software development, machine learning. We need people, as I think Daniel mentioned in the morning, who are already excellent in what they're doing, leading people, people who can accelerate us and get us a leap. We need to modernize our ways of working, have dedicated capacity, investment, and focus. I think Ursula touched upon this. And we need to build partnerships, work with other companies, like Alfa Laval is working with Veolia now. We need to knowledge share and share competence across companies, and we can make our competitors frenemies. Industry can utilize the vast repositories of research, innovation, and knowledge from academia, and academia can accelerate operationalizing their research through industry into society. In Alfa Laval, We are dedicated to focus on the water industry in the form of dedicated capacity. We have our water industry manager, Elaine, who's working across the business, bringing together priorities and initiatives. We have Christian here, who's leading the water kick and the triple helix. And I'm sure they will be very glad to talk with you and discuss the work we're doing and the leadership we're having in this space. Hopefully we have some time for that, if not over lunch. Thank you, and if you have any questions for me, you could reach out on LinkedIn, or I'm here. Thank you. Oh, I'll take this thing.
Thank you very much, Preeti. I'm sure there's a lot of questions and comments to your speech. Then I will ask Professor Bjørn Egil Asperslet, and director, and most important in this context, my boss, to have the floor for 10 minutes. And I'm sure you have an important message.
Thank you, Erik. We have been talking about the future. I would like to take a step backwards. Let's see if this one is working. Yes? Going to a concept that we at NTNU call the observational pyramid. Like this? Okay, that's good. From ocean observation to blue resilience, we have named this one. In 2013, we got the Norwegian Center of Excellence, AMOS, Autonomous Marine Operations and Systems, which really covers a lot about what we have been talking about for the future. So that was something we started planning 15 years ago. Not saying too much about this, but I guess you can see the foils afterwards. What was AMOS? They had a vision. They wanted to make ocean observation cost-effective. We know a bit about the ocean. We know much more about the outer space than the oceans. It's a vast body of water in the oceans, along the coastline, in the fjords, and in the inland waters. Can we find one system that can help us to gain insight into this really exciting and important context? That was the question. So the vision was to, on the input side, reduce costs by a factor of 10. As Erik said, this small satellite can do a lot of the job that earlier large satellites to a much higher cost were able to do. Cost reduction. But even more important, we can increase the output, the number of data and data points that we can harvest more than 10 times to a quality that is equal or improved. That's a good vision. Then if we go to the observational pyramid, it's a pyramid turned upside down, starting with the remote sensing satellites, the large orbit satellites. Then we have low orbit satellites like our HyPSO satellite, the small and nice one. We have unmanned aerial vehicles. All of they are using optical remote sensing, hyperspectral imaging. Then we come to the surface of the water, where we have autonomous surface vehicles, different types, different range, different functionality, and we have autonomous underwater vehicles. Not only autonomous, but also guided like this blue eye. So then we have been able to harvest ocean and water data much more cost effectively. This is a concept. It's a setup of technologies that can be used for many, many different contexts within the blue areas. And that is important for the future. So what do we want to do now? As we have heard several times today, we want to establish a data chain for ocean insight and water insight that can be AI enabled, really using the properties of water, the physical properties, chemical, biological, to really develop AI models that are transparent, where we can get insight, that are trustworthy, they have integrity, and they are protected, as we have heard different ways today. Let's see. But almost was more. In the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT, they focus on the knowledge triangle between academia, research, and industry. And that is important. And then if we move back to 2013, when Amos started, what did they do? They were a multidisciplinary team of researchers from marine technology, engineering cybernetics, and marine biology. And what they learned was to learn from each other. Before Amos, marine technology and engineering cybernetics had been working together in a previous center of excellence, and they had learned to know each other, so they collaborated well. Now, marine biology came on board, and they learned even more. And suddenly, the innovation started to happen. That's important when it comes to entrepreneurship skills and education. They had their own innovation school. They educated 230 PhDs, 50 postdocs, more than 1,000 master science students. Just like Tor said, competitiveness starts with people. People with new ways of doing things. That is exactly what we can do here. They worked with the research group SINTEF, the companies DNV and Equinor. Important to understand what is the demands, so we really can focus on where things matter. And they created new business. Blue Eye, you have heard about and seen. This is a more fancy version of Blue Eye with a bit more functionality. Ellume, snake robots, different types of snake robots, and more. Both tangible outcomes and also products that deliver services. And that is really to see the benefit of the knowledge triangle. Just as we know we can be able to do within EIT Water and the KIC Water, Marine and Maritime. I have to look a bit on the time, sorry. And finally, Blue Resilience. From Defis here today, we heard a lot about the resilience and the civil security aspects, so I'm not going to go into that. But think about the term resilience. Resilience is not robust, being able to withstand, but it's the ability to adapt, to take a shock and gracefully be able to take the shock in and then be able to come back again. Look at a straw. When the wind comes, it bends over. It reduces the impact from the wind. And when the wind goes away again, it raises up again. Just as the straws you can see on the beach, which are important to keep the sand positions in the beach intact. In addition, if you look at these straws, they are also carriers of seeds that, in a critical situation, can be used as a food ingredient. Important. Then you are resilient. Think about that. Let me wrap up. So, with concepts like the observational pyramid and true cost-effectiveness of harvesting ocean data, we have established the basis for an ocean of AI. Using the knowledge triangle, we can connect academia, research and industry for innovations, competence development, and business generation for the future. And we directly see through dual use and other aspects that this is also a true contribution to increased resilience, blue resilience. Thank you.
Of course, you will get a small token as well. Yeah. Yeah, but the largest sign of our gratitude will be on your next month's paycheck, of course. Then we have heard different perspectives on the topics we have been discussing all morning, and we have elaborated a bit into to ocean. But I will ask the speakers to come forward, because I have a few questions and a few comments, and I'm sure there are also, please, people in the audience which have that. And Eva has promised to help me, so I just. Kari, unnskyld. Yes, please have a seat. Okay, I will start, and we have discussed this in beforehand. I will start with politics, and I will get an answer which is not political. Yeah, but it has been mentioned several times today, and probably the Vice President was the most outspoken, talking about Norway as a close strategic partner of the EU, also when we are discussing this kind of matters. But then we have been experiencing in Norway that there are, from time, when we are discussing security matters and projects, there are sometimes okay that Norwegian partners are involved, but sometimes we are defined on the outside of the EU. So, Helena, could you please clarify what is the EU view on Norway as a strategic partner in security matters?
So, no, that's a political question, but Norway definitely participates to some of our programs. So, speaking from DG Défi, notably for EDF, but also ASAP that support ammunition production. Norway participate to that. They are, I think, interested in the next program, EDIP. So there is definitely, and to SAFE they're participating as well. So there's definitely a close link with Norway partners, but the rest is a political question.
Thank you. So if anyone here, I will have one question first to the panel, then I will let the audience skip in if you have anyone. So just think about that. But I will start with something that you mentioned, Soy, which I think was very important and which I totally agree upon, because I think you said something like, knowledge should be available to all. And I think that's very well aligned with what I call the academian gold standard. We are sharing everything with everyone all the time, because we think that is a smart thing to do, because then we can control each other's work, we can build upon each other's work, and then the humanity have gotten further than we could if you had done it in another way. But do you really think in the environment we are now seeing with more dual use, the EU rising to have strategic autonomy, is it possible to make all knowledge available to all? And I will also invite the rest of the panel to reflect upon that. Sorry.
Well, I will start from the fact that academia wants to share everything with everyone, but they don't do so. They say that they want to do so, but they don't. So let's say that from theory to practice, there is always a distance. Second, we need to identify where, regarding marine knowledge, because I was speaking for marine knowledge and mainly for marine environmental data, we need to understand where we are already. We have 20 years of services like Copernicus Marine and almost 20 years of services like EMOTNet that share openly environmental data and other services in the global level. And what is shared openly already cannot be taken back. This knowledge is already out there. And then we have to discuss currently about critical issues that are related with defense and security. Defense and security is not my field, but I still believe that if we want environmental sustainability, we need to share environmental data in a manner that will allow international collaboration and emergency action in existential issues like climate change and coastal resilience. And that we're not going to achieve this if we restrict environmental information, considerations need to be taken, but we also need to, as I believe, as Europeans, to maintain a collaborative and open spirit as much as possible.
Okay, Petra?
Yeah, I will jump on this. On the freshwater side, I think there are different things that that relate to security. So, as Zoe said, the objective also for the reporting and for the data that member states are gathering, there are platform, and the data that they are communicating are available directly. However, it's not necessarily the raw data, so there are different level of data that can be shared. There are also security issues. You don't want to have drinking water reservoir that is maybe subject to terrorist attacks to be clearly identified, and where anybody can come and reach. And you need to also ensure that these, even if you report some of the data, that these infrastructure are protected, and that can be protected for a defensive part. What we try to do, there is also different things, I think, with infrastructure and research. We talk about dual use. Obviously, we cannot anticipate, or we know what the technology we are developing to. We cannot control how people will use it. So we need to anticipate this dual use. We need to make sure that if there is a risk against what we are doing, we have anticipated this. But it's difficult to block people for use, so we need to secure the technologies and all the system that we are developing, so we are not exposing ourselves also for this. So this is more in the development phase that we need to anticipate this.
We can agree that this is not just straightforward to find that balance. Okay, Nils, you wanted the floor?
Yeah, so Bjørn Eggen and I, besides being organizers of the session, we have the role of what in modern TV shows we are called product placement, as you have understood. We have satellites and data collection items with us. I have to also point out we are not AI enhanced, which is the second kind of disclaimer that you get in TV shows nowadays. Anyway, when it comes to data and sharing, so I started with the quote, right? Trust but verify. So how much you share of the data depends on who do you trust and what you want to verify. I think that's the very short answer to that. NTNU's position here, if you talk about that in terms of when you're looking at the future EU programs for our research and innovation, we have been open as one of few Norwegian universities to the concept of dual use being introduced. And why is dual use important for NTNU and Norway, or NTNU as an organization and Norway as a country? Often when we talk about dual use, it gets a bit vague. But it's somehow related to the initial question of why is it the EU and sometimes Norway and sometimes not Norway. And if you look at the map, you will see our location in the far north. The NATO alliance was enlarged by Finland. We could have been disappointed that our fraction of the Russian border towards NATO got much smaller, because we got a much longer joint border with Russia. But the fact is that Norway's geopolitical situation changed totally. We have now become a kind of transfer country of capabilities in the operational doctrines of NATO, meaning that we see a large and transportation from where? From the ocean, right? Our only lifeline lies with the ocean, and that's where we are going to protect the alliance if push comes to shove, to put it very directly. So when we see an opening probably of the European civilian research system towards dual use, Norway is in an important position due to our long coastline when you come from the blue side, right? It's due to the infrastructure that we have and the resources that are in Norway and that are being transported on the seabed towards Europe. And also, if you look at the satellites, to our unique positioning when it comes to taking geolocal or small satellite data down to the Earth. In the far north, the small satellites, they pass over 17 times every day, while if you're located further south, you see the satellite maybe 1, 2, 3 times, and then you have to wait for another 20 hours or something so before they come over. So these are unique points for Norway, and and we are happy to have so many people in this session, and we hope that you take that with you, that we have a unique position, we have developed strong technologies, and we are situated or we are a very interesting test bed in a way, if you want to deploy some of the things that you are developing in projects.
Thank you. And before I again move to Defis, but from a business point of view, what do you think about, you were talking about sharing data here inside your plant, but what about sharing with competitors? Is that the way to go, or how do you think about this?
Yes, so typically there is always a partnership and a kind of supplier type relationship. In some cases, we may be monitoring only our equipment. In other cases, there are companies that are monitoring the entire production line. So there is some data sharing there already. Equipment-specific data sharing is probably going to be limited, but otherwise, I think we can share the data across the production line. And many a times, data from upstream processes and equipment is actually helpful to optimize our own equipment and then pass it downstream and vice versa. So, yes.
Okay, so Renan, for putting on the spot again, but the question is to share or not?
No, of course we should share, but indeed there is first the question is the trust. Then there is a difference between sharing knowledge during the development phase of the capability and then sharing the actual data when using it. So in the first phase, this is what we are currently doing with EDF, for example. We are pushing member states or industry of the member states to have cross-border cooperation, to work together, and this is sharing of data. But then using the capabilities that have been developed, that is entirely to the member states, navies, for example, to share the data. Now the European Commission is supporting that by with systems like CISE or MARSER to exchange the data. But at the end of the day, it's a choice and it's a question of trust of the one using the technology, that will be the Navy or the member states entities.
Okay. Then to the audience, and I have a gentleman here in the front row. So any others? I take 3 questions or comments before we let the panel in, but we are starting here in the front row. So please give me a sign if you want the floor. Christian?
Could I start? Thank you so much. First, I must say thank you for all the great insights. And as an old naval diver, I'm very happy to see this robot taking over my job. So that is great. I would like to focus on the how, because we have a lot of different capabilities. We see that, but I love what you said about going, from theory to practice, and I think, like Preti talked about, and it all starts with skills and talent. And please don't steal, Preti. Okay? Do we have a deal in the room? Yeah, she's ours. But the next step is how do we work together? And I go back to this kind of the radical collaboration. And we have really tried and organized ourselves now with having an internal expert on water in all different business units. I'm working very much with external, with academia and all of that. And we work with frenemies, like you mentioned Veolia here. We have in the audience also. Hello, Carlos. Great. So I think we have to do that. But I would like to hear examples of how do you do that more? How do we work better together to create this really capability building and competitiveness for Europe? Long question. Sorry.
Yes, but an important question. And I haven't seen anyone else. First time? Yep. The lady in the third row, please.
Hello. Thank you very much for the panel. what I would be interested in learning from your perspective is that it is a more general question, but I am interested in the perspective of maritime security in a very wide consideration, from protection, environment protection, but also illegal activities, for instance, in the ocean. And what I've heard this morning is that research and innovation efforts in Europe will be much more related to other objectives, such as competitiveness in Europe and security and defense in Europe. From that perspective, how do you envision international cooperation with other geographies, especially considering that the ocean, we've been talking about for many years now that our ocean is one ocean?
Thank you. Last chance. Yes, the gentleman named Massimo in the back there.
I love the way you pronounce my name. Massimo Busuoli, nice meeting you, and nice seeing also old friends from NTNU Brussels office. I have a question which is more related to the data collection and the challenge that it has in order to have clear investments in the needed infrastructure to do it. So probably this is a challenge more for the Commission people, but I would like to know if and how the Commission is thinking on exploiting the need of the physical infrastructure and need to invest on them and facilitate this kind of deployment of the needed tools to create the ocean of data or the water of data, waterfall of data that we need to continue in progressing and keeping Europe at this level it is. Thank you.
Massimo, just give the mic to on your side.
Greg. His name is Greg.
Hi, I'm Greg Jones. I work for Coventry University. I was quite interested on the bit around skills, because I would sort of call that an elephant in the room, if I can describe it that, because there's a big shortage on skills. So I'd be quite interested, I think it was a speaker from Alfa Laval, about the approach and strategy to that, and also the frenemy concept, because it's a shared issue that goes beyond an individual company, but equally you'll have strategies in a company. So I'm quite curious to see what you can share, because I'm also on the point about what is shareable and what isn't shareable. But I think it's the fundamental issue that we face. How do you get that investment into high-level skills, which takes time, get the right people, and hold on to them as well? Thanks.
Thank you. And I couldn't resist the lady here in the second row. We'll have the last short question before we let the panel dig into this.
It was a question for Bertrand specifically, or suggestion. I will be very specific on one of your slides, and pardon me for that, but I remember it was nutrient pollution reduction. May I suggest nutrient circular economy instead? So recovering nutrients and not stopping waste and being linear, but having a circular idea behind it to recover those nutrients and then reutilize it, instead of buying phosphates from Northern Africa and then being more self-sufficient in that area.
Bertrand, you could answer that easy question. Yeah?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, of course, when we look at, so the focus is on water resilience. So we still need to reduce the pollution load to water. And whatever you do, even if you reuse nutrients, there is an overloading of the system with nutrients. So I agree with you. Once you remove it, you need to recover it. You need to make sure that it can re-enter the market. And we have a fertilizing product regulation that allow this for certain type of product. It's not all. And there are issues also related to other contaminants that needs to be addressed also. And this is why I think all the partnerships that are correlated to this, especially the one on the public-private initiatives, need to address PFAS pollutions, because this is something, if we want to have a circular economy, we need to recycle. If we need to recycle, we need to get rid of these remaining pollution, because otherwise we're recycling also the pollution with it. So there are initiatives, legislative initiatives. The fertilizing product regulation will be assessed again. So we may have opportunities to enlarge a bit the scope for other products. This is DigiGrow, so I don't know. But we have a sound basis from research and innovation projects to show that this is feasible and that we can move towards a new product in a circular economy way.
Okay.
This was the easy one.
Thank you. Thank you. Then we will do 4 rounds going back and forth on 4 questions. The first one is about good example for how to work to meet all these challenges we have been discussing, concrete examples on that. The second one is about maritime collaboration, especially with partners outside the EU or outside Europe, to be precise. The third one about investments in infrastructure and how to get value or do that kind of investment to being able to create values. And the last question, maybe the most important one, is about how to get the skills to do all of this. And since we are now using the time you all have for a delicious lunch, I urge you to be short and to the point. You don't need to answer all questions, but we just go back and forth, and it's fully okay to say pass if you don't want to comment on it. We start with good example of how to work to meet these challenges. Nils.
Well, I don't know if there's a solution to it, but in the new program one is, or EU program one we discuss afterwards, there is the talk about moon landings and defining moon landings where we not only compete but can all chip in a good Scandinavian barn building kind of spirit. Yeah, maybe that helps.
Bertrand?
Well, we have partnerships. I think we need to increase the networks. So we have co-funded partnerships where we have member states that are putting money for research and innovation to allow to address common issues. There are public-private partnerships that allow to bring the business dimension. This is the tool that we have at RTD level to deal with that.
So,
as we speak in Brussels, the Aoria Forum takes place. That is a cooperation for the Atlantic, for instance, with partners from the other side of the Atlantic as well, together with Europe. So these are other structures of work. I would say that in the collaboration, we have spent decades building partnerships, even with partners in countries that currently are considered not so easy to discuss with. But these partnerships shouldn't be discouraged or allowed to be disconnected, because the political climate eventually will change. So we need to continue working also with partners in these parts of the world.
Thank you. That was the answer on question 2. Do you have comments on examples on concrete ways to work to meet the challenges? And then I think we are more into working with people.
Okay,
yeah.
so I will I will give an example from data sharing. Bilaterally in Europe, we had some years ago a data exchange, concrete collaboration with China, for instance, where partners from Europe worked with partners, with research partners in China in order to exchange marine environment-related data, and to develop sharing capabilities on standards and harmonization that are necessary if we want to be able to share. So this kind of concrete partnerships with other parts of the world can also advance the cause.
Really?
Yes. So maybe Maybe I will take a quick example of the frenemies relationship as a partnership, and then Christian, I will also ask you if you would like to add something quickly to that. I won't take the name, but we have a partner who we have been working with to get one of our sensors that we use to optimize the decanter machine. And, you know, business strategy is about constantly differentiating to remain competitive. So our partner has also now started to go into the process optimization area. So when that, and this is why the frenemies relationship, it's a tough one, but it's one that's required. It's a tough one to balance though. And sometimes you have to be open and work together, but other times you need to secure your own competitiveness. So in this case, we are also now coming up with our own sensor that will be in-house, because when it comes to the autonomous decanter, that data point is really crucial for us, and so we need to secure that, and we cannot take a chance with that. Christian, at a higher level, would you like to add something to that?
No, yeah, I'm sure he will, but if you're interested, he can't answer his own question. So if you're interested in his reflections, talk with Christian during lunch. Yeah. Then Renaud, questions on examples on concrete work. If not, move directly on maritime collaboration.
Yes, I think on the concrete work, I already mentioned during my keynote, and we have multiple programs. Maybe the only point I would add is that we need now to consolidate that also in the perspective of the next MFF, so starting in 2028. All those programs need to be somehow consolidated and pursued. So on the second question, of course, our work is to support the European industry. Norway associated to many programs, but so the link with the external partner is not always easy. Of course, there are some dependency of some member states, so we try to also work with external EU partners, but our focus is indeed on the EU industrial strategy.
Pretty on maritime collaboration. Comments? No. So you have a comment, Bertrand? No. Nils?
I'll skip to 3.
Do you skip to 3, which is investment in needed infrastructure?
Yes. We have a lot of policy makers here, and we have a lot of academics probably, but investment capital, experience from Norway at least, when you move things up to a certain stage in the innovation chain, we run out of private capital. Where do we find that private capital, and where do we want to get that private capital from? So do we have a sufficient investor climate in Europe is the question you have to ask, and I guess that's a political question in combination with public procurement processes that allows more, let's say, experimental approaches and local supply chains.
Bertrand?
Well, I think we try to address this with the strategy for startup and scale-ups. We are developing tools for this. It's the KIC is also one of the solution, both for question 3 and question 4. I think there's something here. But we also have, so for research infrastructure, we also have dedicated funding that have been set up in the proposal for the FP10. So this needs to stay. We are in a MFF negotiation, and this is important to keep the budget allocated to this. It's a separate pillar, so it has allocated funding reserved for research infrastructure, and I think this is quite important for this point.
So, President? No?
So as mentioned on data collection and exchange of data, there are a running project like CISE or MARSUR, PESCO project. CISE is the European Commission project for coastal exchange of data, Coast Guard exchange of data. Something maybe we can add is the importance of military mobility also in infrastructure, and there was an open call to receive much more input from the member states and industry and the partners that ends end of July this year. So there will be a strategy specifically for military mobility, which is also much more important in securing our infrastructure.
And then the last question, then you'll get lunch. It's about getting enough skills and talents. Short.
Short. Our position is to support the industry. So by supporting, by granting grant to the industry, we are also supporting to skill development.
I think from a business and industry perspective, it is a challenge. We have a mechanically driven industry historically, and then we have a separate digital industry, and now we see the convergence of the two. What good looks like doesn't clearly exist. So it's a challenge to first of all decide and define what good looks like. And then the concatenation of skills. For example, we have automation engineers, we have mechanical engineers, we have process engineers. But to get all of this in one, to create the autonomous decanter, it is not easy. Here you have to balance what's most important in which areas and use cases. So yeah, it's a challenge and it's a learning journey, but it's definitely possible, yeah. And we are hiring.
Everybody needs talented workforce. So.
For the marine and maritime sector, there is a separate analysis that takes place under the term blue skills that is trying to actually map this kind of skills that are necessary for different levels of the industry. It has produced some results, and we hope that we're going to strengthen it in the future in order to support actually a common field around, in the member states, because this is also important to encourage talent coming from different backgrounds.
On the freshwater side, so I already mentioned the European Water Academy that the GRC wants to develop. It's more for I think higher level skills. What is missing really is also, I mean, we need people that will be able to run wastewater treatment plants with the help of AI, so that understand how AI is working, how sensors are working, how to maintain them. For this is, we think the kick might help. There is also the European Partnership Water for All that have also a program to develop or try to help researchers to move towards business, so a kind of MBA related to water. This is, again, high level. So we rely a lot on universities and also schools to develop these programs. It's not an easy one, and we need to work together to do this. But indeed, there is like in the water sector, typically the age is getting high, and that's the skills need to be renewed.
That's not only the case for the water sector. In Norway, the demographic pyramid is more like a box than a pyramid. So where do you find talent? Very good question. And as a representative for the universities, we have to point out that the world is complex, the challenges we're facing is complex, and we believe strongly in the PhD education for this, and the PhD education can happen with young talents. So please also make funding instruments for research. Don't make them so short on time that there's no time for a PhD within kind of the time frame of the funding. That's super important. And for the industry, I would say consider industry PhDs as a part of a career development plan. Hold on to the talents, foster them, and make them fascinated to stay on with you for a long time to solve more complex problems.
Thank you. So before we leave, just a practical question about slides. We really would like to share them with the audience and make them available online. So if any of the speakers would like to reserve them from that, please give me a note about that after this session. Then I will finish up with saying thank you for taking your time, coming and hearing for our debate. You have been a wonderful audience. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you. Bravo.